Have you ever wondered if Superman, the world's greatest superhero, is actually an immigrant, or maybe something even more complicated? Right before the new movie's release, the entire internet started buzzing about a single comment from James Gunn, and suddenly everyone had an opinion. Is Clark Kent a symbol of hope for outsiders, or does his alien origin make him something completely different from what we think? Get ready to see Superman in a way you've never imagined, because this discussion goes far beyond capes, supervillains, or saving the day. Stay tuned, because what you're about to learn might just change the way you see the Man of Steel forever. The internet exploded when James Gunn mentioned Superman as an immigrant, sparking intense debates just days before the movie's premiere. It's a fascinating topic, especially when you start to ask how the Kents ever managed to legalize a secret baby from space. Have you really stopped to consider what it would take to hide a child from another world in small-town America? And if most Kryptonians who arrive on Earth seem bent on conquering it or replacing local culture, can Superman really be called an immigrant, or is he something else entirely? That's what makes this conversation so complex and so timely. To answer the big question, yes, Superman is technically an immigrant, but more accurately, he's a refugee, which is a special kind of immigrant. This theme runs through so many Superman stories in comics, shows, and movies, especially in the United States where citizenship and identity are a huge deal. Getting a green card isn't easy. In fact, some stories have Superman poking fun at the fact that if he were deported, there's nowhere left for him to go. Krypton doesn't exist anymore. He often jokes about this, but the truth is, only Superman gets honorary citizenship in every United Nations country. No other hero gets that privilege. But Clark Kent doesn't enjoy the same advantages. Some stories focus on Clark as an undocumented immigrant, with the Kents forced to forge adoption papers just to keep him safe. If people ever discovered his real origins, they'd know he was an alien, and that would put a huge target on his back. Smallville explored this theme beautifully, showing the anxiety and ethical dilemmas of hiding such a secret. At his core, Superman is a character defined by simple, universal values. He doesn't complicate things with legal jargon or political ideology. Whether he's talking with Lois Lane in the newest film or struggling with his identity in older stories, Clark always keeps his focus on what truly matters: saving lives, doing good, and protecting those in need. While others worry about the technicalities, he sees things in the most direct, human way possible. That's part of what has always made Superman so relatable and inspiring. Many fans today get caught up in the political themes of current events and forget to look at the bigger picture. But if you go back to Superman's origins, you'll find something remarkable. The character was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, two Jewish immigrants whose families fled rising anti-Semitism in Europe, especially as Nazi Germany gained power in the late 1930s. Superman was literally born out of the trauma and hope of refugees. He was created to be a champion of the oppressed, a symbol against injustice, war, and racial hatred. Classic comics like Superman Smashes the Klan and stories about fighting Nazis or racists were never just entertainment, they were messages against real-world hatred. In the United States, the struggles with racism and segregation shaped these stories in a way that's hard to imagine in other countries. Superman became a beacon for those who felt out of place, marginalized, or targeted for being different. America, after all, is a country built by immigrants from every corner of the world. Yet, there's always been tension about newcomers, especially when large groups arrive with very different cultures. Superman's stories have never shied away from these complexities. They acknowledge that not every immigrant comes with good intentions. General Zod, for example, wants to remake Earth in Krypton's image, regardless of who gets hurt. Some Kryptonians are portrayed as cold, superior, and utterly lacking in human empathy, unlike Clark, who was raised on a humble farm and learned compassion from his adoptive parents. When other Kryptonians appear, they often see Earth as a place to conquer or reform, believing their advanced technology and values are superior. That's a massive culture clash, and it puts Superman in a tough position. He's expected to prove he's not like the rest, even when his own biological parents hint that conquering Earth should be his destiny. The new film doesn't shy away from these themes. showing how Clark's Kryptonian origins are both a source of suspicion and misunderstanding. It's no exaggeration to say that the United States relies on immigrants, especially Latinos, for many vital jobs that most Americans won't do. But at the same time, immigration brings up tough questions about identity, belonging, and fear of the unknown. Superman stories have explored xenophobia, racism, and the challenges of integration again and again, always showing that prejudice can lead to hatred and violence. Ironically, in a nation where only indigenous people are truly native, the rest of the population still wrestles with the idea of who belongs and who doesn't. James Gunn's approach to these issues in the latest Superman film is surprisingly nuanced. Rather than pushing a political agenda, the movie simply acknowledges the suspicions people have when someone from another world arrives, especially if history shows those newcomers often bring trouble. This isn't woke messaging or forced ideology, it's storytelling grounded in real anxieties and centuries-old struggles. Some critics and even former Superman actors have accused Gunn of making Superman too woke, conveniently forgetting that the very shows and comics they loved in the past also explored Superman's status as an undocumented alien. Episodes from decades ago depicted government agents asking Superman for his visa or green card, even threatening deportation. The current controversy just proves how easily people forget history, and how quickly buzzwords lose their meaning when they're overused. It's almost poetic how art imitates life. Sensational headlines today echo the kind of suspicion and paranoia seen in Superman comics, with some people trying to tie fictional conflicts to real-world politics. But the truth is, the movie's plot is nearly identical to stories written nearly 90 years ago, long before today's headlines ever existed. Maybe, in the end, what really matters is that Superman continues to stand for universal moral values, compassion, courage, hope, and the belief that anyone can be a hero, no matter where they come from. When the world seems darker and more divided than ever, Superman's example couldn't be more important. He's a reminder that doing the right thing isn't about teams or tribes, it's about being the best version of ourselves and lifting others up along the way. So, what do you think? Is Superman truly an immigrant, a refugee, or something even bigger? How do these stories shape your view of the world and what we owe each other? I'd love to hear your thoughts, your theories, and even your critiques down below. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a deep dive into the big questions behind our favorite heroes. Your support means everything, and it's what keeps this community growing, thinking, and always searching for a little more hope.